Years wage negotiations have proven to be difficult and protracted. This is mainly because of the current ailing economy and rising inflation. The cost of living has been on an upward trend, leading to retrenchments and some business closed shop. Unions say workers have been hard done over the years on the wage negotiations, and that although negotiations are often a mixed bag, they found employers not honest about their finances.
So often workers are at the receiving end. Often employers would put workers' interests at the very last on their to-do list. Often employers rather seek to give themselves an increase or to give dividends to their shareholders or to invest money elsewhere. We have to have employers who negotiate in good faith. So that's also why we support amendments in the company's amendment bill, which require employers to disclose their finances to the trade unions so they can really have a better understanding of what actually the employer can afford or what they can't afford. Because often at the negotiation table, the employer will just simply say, we can't afford it. Tough luck, there's no money available.
The Labour Federation says it sees anything below inflation as a wage cut. It's also accusing employers of pushing for lower wage increases while raking in millions of rands at the expense of workers.
Workers will spend about a quarter of their salary on transport to get to work, on taxis or buses, or the petrol crisis, etc., hits them quite hard. If you have an 18% increase in the electricity tariffs, it hits a smaller income household much harder than it hits those who are better off. So we try to look at inflation plus, but the results vary. Most of the unions have been able to negotiate at least inflation-linked increases. So we've seen settlements in the clothing and the textile industries, which are basically inflation slightly above.
Labour experts say the affordability factor is a critical aspect, with both the public and private sector employees struggling to get the best out of the bargaining process.
We're at the high end of an interest rate cycle. We have unreliable electricity supply. We have the load shedding issue. We have also impacting on many employers the weakening of the rand against the pound, the euro, and the dollar. So all of those factors impact negatively on employer cash flows. So those are the kinds of issues that restrain employers when they approach the wage negotiation.
Keeley has described 2023 as a tense year of wage negotiations, but says there are so far notable small victories for workers in some industries.
Well, I think if we're looking for current examples of settlements, a good one would be one reached I think yesterday, which was NUMSA and ArcelorMittal, the steel giant. There you have a 3-year wage agreement. The increases are a combination of 6.5% and CPI related each year, and similar contribution increases by the employer to medical aid contributions. And something you're starting to see in wage deals quite often, the so-called once-off payment to employees.
Economists, on the other hand, have called for a balanced approach in wage negotiations.
We understand that workers want to be compensated for price increases as reflected by a rate of inflation, but we must make sure that wage negotiations play out in such a way that existing jobs are not put in jeopardy. Often, employers can only meet the demands of trade unions through a reduction in employment, through layoffs of some of these staff members, and that is what we should avoid.
Unions are calling for the amendment in the company's amendment bill, which will require employers to be more transparent with their finances and disclose this in full to the trade unions during wage negotiations. Rousseau says as unions push for the company's amendment bill, they too must be open about their finances.
Transparency runs in both directions. If trade unions want more transparency, they should similarly offer more transparency in terms of negotiations. By the looks of it, salary demands are all over the place. I've heard about salary demands of 15% at Eskom, which is clearly outrageous. It's clearly unacceptable even to put such demands on the table in an environment where people have difficulty finding jobs.
The experts say the further the economy takes strain, the more difficult it will be to ensure smooth wage negotiations that will avert industrial action that often leave workers compromised and the economy weakened further. A silver lining, they say, will only come through an uninterrupted supply of electricity that they believe will immediately raise economic growth and lead to the creation of well-needed jobs. Katlego Legodi, SABC News, Johannesburg.